Hello and welcome to another short drawing lesson. This week we're going to do the fabulous Volvo P1800, the car made famous by the original Saint. First thing we'll do is a front wheel over here. Next we need a rear wheel, 1, 2.5 wheels further back. And now we need a nice swooping line that sits just above those and extends out each end. So you want it to have a slight bend in it, so just use the sweep of your arm to do that. So it's a bit higher in the centre than the ends. We use this to work out our overhangs. So at the back we need a very generous a wheel's length, maybe even a tiny bit more, just to make sure we get a decent fin on the back of the car. And underneath that the bodywork comes back, makes a bend and heads over there. At the front we just need half a wheel, maybe even a tiny bit less, and on that line we place our headlight, so it points right to the centre of your headlight. So behind that the bodywork makes a little step and comes back to sort of heading towards the centre of your wheel. It's quite high up at the front. The bottom edge of the car is a tiny bit lower than the centres of the wheel. There. Now we need another one of these long lines, and it bulges up a bit at the front, and then when it gets to the back it levels out, or even goes up slightly, tiny little bit. Whatever you do, don't let it drop down, otherwise you'll lose your nice big fin. And at the back we've got this kind of arrow shape. So next we've got a nice detail to put in here. There's a sort of a dart shape which becomes a rear light. Next we've got the bumpers to put on, which they sit just above that bend, slightly higher than the centres of your wheels. Same kind of level at the front. At the front they're a bit unusual because they kind of raise up to follow the contour of the nose of the car. And there's quite a bulging radiator there, a little light, side light. Now we can put the doors in. So we've got this half a wheel measured out here, and that's where the back edge of the front of the door will be. It's quite sloping until it gets to that point where it becomes vertical for a bit and then carries on the same slope. The bottom edge is level with the centres of your wheels, and the front edge is a half a wheel further back, and it's a bit steeper than that. It's not quite the same angle. When it gets to the line it makes a bend, and then we've got our A pillar. So it's got more of a slope than that there. We've got our curving top to the window and a small 3/4 window tucked in there. The windscreen needs a steep, a more shallow slope, and a curving bottom that we can use just to give a bit of thickness to the bonnet. Curving roof. And the important thing here is when it drops down, we don't want it to drop down too far back. So if you come to your back wheel, go halfway between the middle of the wheel and the back of the wheel, come up, and that's where the roof wants to drop down to. So by giving ourselves that little mark, it just means we won't make it too long. This little pillar here, there's another one that's parallel to it just back here. And that's our basic car outline. A little bit tricky around there, isn't it, that roof part? Next, we'll put the floor in, and we can start to give the picture a bit of depth. So we'll do that in a few ways. We'll darken the underside of the car, show it's like it's in shadow, and we'll show the wheels on the far side. And we'll darken the shadow on the floor too. Notice I leave a little gap where the tyre touches the ground. It just makes the tyre feel a bit more stuck to the ground. My reference picture's got a bit of exhaust detail there as well. We can do the same inside the car as well, because you can see up into the roof, see the pillar on the far side, that can all be dark. An important detail on the door is this chrome trim that swoops down. And we can just emphasise that chrome trim on the top edge of the fin. I think that's your key line of the car, isn't it? That windscreen wiper, rear view mirror, maybe a steering wheel you might see in there. There's a door handle just squeezed in there, not much room for it. A little badge. And for the chrome, I just darken where the horizon would be reflected. That just sort of gives the impression that there's a bit of chrome going on. I think there's a door handle there or something. Exhaust pipe under there too. So just put a little bit of a blob halfway up that headlight shape where the chrome is. And it just gives you the impression that there's a bit of a reflection or something going on without having to worry too much about everything. One last thing you could do, two last things. Round off the bottom of the door and just square off your wheel arches slightly. And you can put a tiniest little bit of shadow under there, just to show that the wheels are kind of set in a bit. And now hopefully you've got something that looks a bit like a Volvo P1800. Not the easiest one, but a fun challenge. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments how you got on and what car you'd like me to try next. I'll try and get round to them all. Otherwise, like and subscribe. Have a great week, and I'll see you for another one soon.